At 7:46 a.m. on August the 13th, 2025, the radar screen aboard the USS Higgins suddenly comes alive. A new contact appears, charging in fast from the west. Moments later, a voice crackles over the radio in firm, Mandarin-accented English. U.S. warship, you are in Chinese waters. Leave immediately. Out on deck, the sea looks deceptively calm. Just over the horizon lies Scarborough Shoal, a thin ring of reefs barely breaking the surface. To Washington, it's international water. To Beijing, it's sovereign territory. And the Chinese Navy has just arrived to prove their point. Within minutes, warships slide into view off the starboard side, their hulls cutting sharp wakes across the blue as they fall into formation alongside the American destroyer. From China's perspective, this is about defending their home waters and driving out an intruder. From the American side, this is a freedom of navigation mission, a deliberate challenge to China's sweeping maritime claims. This is the first time in 6 years a U.S. destroyer has sailed this close to Scarborough. And every radio call, every maneuver, is now part of a high-stakes chess match where no one dares to make the wrong move. Scarborough Shoal might just look like a scatter of rocks and coral, but location is everything. It sits inside the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, but also inside Beijing's 9-dash line, a claim that stretches across nearly the entire South China Sea. Since 2012, Chinese Coast Guard and Navy ships have kept a near-constant presence here, blocking Filipino fishermen and building patrol routes that leave little doubt about who controls the reef. For Manila, Scarborough is both a vital fishing ground and a symbol of sovereignty. For China, it's something bigger. A forward base for sea control, a surveillance outpost, and a stepping stone for projecting naval power across Southeast Asia. With trillions of dollars in trade passing nearby each year, holding Scarborough isn't about reefs. It's about leverage in any future conflict. So when the USS Higgins sailed in, the stage was already set. Beijing wasted no time shaping the narrative. State media declared that the American destroyer had illegally entered Chinese waters around Huangdao, China's name for Scarborough. The official statement from the PLA Southern Theater Command was blunt. Chinese naval forces monitored, warned, and drove away the intruder to protect sovereignty. That phrase, drove away, wasn't chosen by accident. It projects strength at home and sends a warning abroad. Washington, however, told a very different story. A U.S. Navy spokesperson confirmed the Higgins' presence in the area, but flatly rejected claims that it had been pushed out. Instead, they described the mission as a lawful freedom of navigation operation under international law, planned, deliberate, and completed exactly as intended. And here's where the story gets murky. With no independent footage, no released tracking data, and no neutral observers, the world is left with two competing versions of the same event. China claims it forced a retreat. The U.S. insists the transit went exactly as planned. Both accounts serve political goals. Neither side blinks. What's certain is that the Higgins is no pushover. At 155 meters long and weighing in at over 9,000 tons, this Arleigh Burke-class destroyer is a floating fortress. Its Aegis combat system can track hundreds of targets simultaneously, while its vertical launch system carries everything from SM-2 air defense missiles to Tomahawk cruise missiles that can hit targets over 1,000 miles away, Harpoon anti-ship missiles, CIWS Gatling guns, and electronic warfare suites round out its arsenal. It's designed to fight through the most hostile seas in the world. But the Chinese Navy isn't sailing light either. Their 052D destroyers and 054A frigates bristle with YJ-18 anti-ship missiles, long-range HHQ-9 surface-to-air weapons, and powerful phased-array radars. Their playbook in the South China Sea is consistent. Shadow, warn, and press in close, sometimes within just a few hundred meters. Close enough that a single misstep could turn shadowing into collision. For the U.S., the goal is to appear steady, predictable, and unprovocative. A straight course, minimal chatter, no sudden movements. For the Chinese, the tactic is pressure. Repeated warnings, tight parallel courses, and the constant threat of escalation. It's not about firing the first shot. It's about forcing the other side into a mistake that can be spun into a victory. Legally, the clash traces back to UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Under it, coastal states can claim 12 nautical miles of territorial waters, but Scarborough sits 120 nautical miles from the Philippines, firmly inside Manila's exclusive economic zone. In 2016, an international tribunal in The Hague ruled that China's sweeping 9-dash line has no legal basis. That's why the Higgins transit mattered so much. To Beijing, it was a direct challenge. To Washington, it was a demonstration that no country can close off one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. But here's the striking part. Even after days of reporting, we still don't know how close the Chinese ships came, how many vessels were involved, or whether aircraft were overhead. The absence of proof isn't unusual. These encounters are often recorded, but the footage only sees daylight when it serves a purpose. Until then, each side sticks to its script, and those scripts matter. Because in the bigger picture, Scarborough Shoal is just one of many flashpoints across the South China Sea. In the weeks leading up to this encounter, Chinese vessels were running daily patrols. PLA aircraft were buzzing Taiwan and the Philippines, and China held large-scale live-fire drills nearby. At the same time, the Philippines was deepening security ties with Washington, even hosting its first-ever joint naval exercises with India. So, when a single U.S. destroyer sails through these waters, it's not just a transit, it's a test. How far can China push without sparking a fight? How far will the U.S. go to assert its rights? By the time the USS Higgins cleared Scarborough, the standoff was over. No shots fired, no collisions. Just two powerful navies locked in a silent contest, each insisting on its own version of victory. For China, the message is clear. No warship sails here unchallenged. For the U.S., the answer is equally firm. No country gets to rewrite the rules of the sea. And that's what makes encounters like this so dangerous.